Recipe Wednesday, Culture Edition. I think about food a lot, and recently I've been thinking a lot about coffee. You see, I love coffee. I drink a lot of it, but I don't know if I'm drinking too much. So, to gain some more insight, I'm going to do an experiment. I bought a bunch of different caffeinated drinks just to see the difference. But first, we need a reference point. According to the FDA, a child from the ages of 13 to 18 should not exceed 100 milligrams of caffeine, and an adult should not exceed over 400 milligrams of caffeine, which immediately makes me nervous, because the average cup in America has about 95 grams of caffeine. That means you can have 4 cups of coffee a day. Oh boy. So then I arranged the drinks in order, from the least amount of caffeine to the most amount of caffeine, starting with decaf coffee. A cup of decaf coffee has 3 milligrams of caffeine. Not completely caffeine-free, but almost there. And then espresso, which I thought would have more, but it only has 64 milligrams of caffeine, but it is only 2 ounces, so. And then for the beloved Coca-Cola, for its big bottle has 56 milligrams of caffeine. Surprisingly, under a cup of coffee was Red Bull, at 80 milligrams of caffeine. And then the American coffee, the most caffeinated of the traditional morning beverages. Then the Starbucks Frappuccino, running at 130 milligrams of caffeine. Then the Starbucks Double Shot Espresso at 150 milligrams of caffeine. And then the notorious Monster at 160 milligrams of caffeine. And now this is where things started to surprise me. The Chameleon Cold Brew at a whopping 230 milligrams of caffeine. And lastly, the 5-Hour Energy Extra Strength at a ridiculous 242 milligrams of caffeine. And then I realized something. These are all different sizes. What if I reorganized them as if they were all the same volume? Let's say 8 ounces, just like a normal cup of coffee. The decaf and the Coca-Cola are still at the bottom, not surprising. But the Frappuccino moved down. So if it was an 8-ounce glass of Frappuccino, it would only be 75 milligrams of caffeine. You would have a tie of the Monster and the Red Bull at 80 milligrams of caffeine under the 95 milligrams of caffeine cup of coffee. And then you would have another tie of the cold brew coffee and the double shot espresso at 184 milligrams of caffeine. And the espresso moved up quite a bit. If you had 8 ounces of espresso, it would be 256 milligrams of caffeine. And at the end, if you had 8 fluid ounces of 5-Hour Energy Extra Strength, you would have 968 milligrams of caffeine, meaning you would die. But not really. It takes about 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams to actually kill you. But all this talking about caffeine got me thinking, is there a different way to get caffeine in your diet? Like different than just drinking it? Let's see. While looking for an alternate source of caffeine, the folks at Vita Energy got a hold of me and said they might have the exact answer to my question. Caffeinated mints. Each one of these little mints has 40 milligrams of caffeine. Good flavor. A wait for the jitters. No jitters. Good. I like it. Caffeine mints. Not too bad. I can totally see myself using these. They're cool. They're like caffeine food. Ooh. Caffeinated food. I need some caffeine. I need to get the most amount of caffeine without actually buying powdered caffeine. So I'm going to make cold brew coffee. I ground 1 pound of medium roast coffee. And then added 9 cups of cold water. And then let it sit in the fridge overnight. So 24 hours later, you have this. Cold brew concentrate. This is about 3,000 milligrams of caffeine, so don't drink this stuff. It's potent. So this is what I'm thinking about for this recipe. We modified the birthday cake recipe I have that I've made on this channel. We changed it into a coffee cake, and instead of adding the milk, we substitute that with the cold brew extract, making it a caffeinated coffee cake. I'm gonna need like a caffeine detox after this episode. We start with the crumble. In a bowl, add 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1.5 cups of pecans chopped, teaspoon of cinnamon, and then 4 tablespoons of butter. Give it a little mix. Now, put this to the side and we're gonna start on our cake. So to start this caffeinated coffee cake recipe, we need to first add 2 cups of sugar and 3 eggs to this mixer. Then slowly whisk in 1/4 cup of oil. Then add a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now here I have the rest of my ingredients. I have my dry and my liquids. Here I sifted together the flour, baking soda, and baking powder. Here I would normally add the milk. I have 1 3/4 cup of the coffee cold brew extract. We're gonna add this in parts to prevent any clumps. Oh man, look at that color change. Look at that coffee color. Wow. Okay, so this is what I have to do because this is a pretty runny batter. I can't get like a perfect line like that center that a coffee cake normally has. So I'm going to cook this in a two-stage process to make it like perfect. So first, add the batter. And then I'm gonna add some crumbles to the top and mix it throughout it. I'm gonna add probably about a fourth of the crumble. Putting this on the top now will give it time as it cooks for the crumble to sink to the bottom and kind of disperse with the entire coffee cake. And then 15 minutes into cooking, I'm gonna put another layer on top just to make sure we have like a perfect layer on top. So throw this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 40 to 45 minutes. Well, that's the recipe. Caffeinated coffee cake. So I did the math. If I slice this into 10 slices, each slice has about 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is just a little less than the cold brew. Before I try this, I want to hit one little fact just because I thought it was really cool. When you extract flavor and caffeine from coffee using cold water opposed to hot water, it actually doesn't pull out the bitterness or the acid that's in the coffee, so it only pulls out the aromatics and the caffeine, which makes cold brew more potent because it's easier to drink than regular coffee, so you can drink more of it. This has a ton of coffee in it, but it doesn't have the bitterness, it doesn't have the acid, it only has the aromatics, which is cool. But you got that, it's kind of hard to tell because it's all one color, but you have that like layer of nuts that like slowly started sinking down while I was cooking and made like the perfect little layer in the middle, and then you have like a crispy part on top. Oh, but how does it taste? So good. That is really good. Holy cow. It's like a coffee caramel cake mixture. It's super good. Oh my gosh. I'm worried to eat like all this because I've already had like 2 cups of coffee a day. Plus I've been like dipping my finger in this. And so I shouldn't eat all this. But it's good. I totally can. Holy cow. I'm gonna start like freaking out soon. No, if you do make this, don't let kids eat it. It's got a lot of caffeine in it. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Didn't expect to make that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. And thank you very much for watching. If you liked this episode, you liked this recipe, if you like, subscribe, do all that jazz, and as always, keep cooking. Bye.